Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. About a week ago, maybe a little bit less, I put something on the community page on the channel saying, let's do a Q&A. If you've got any questions for me, leave them below and I'll go through them. So this video is related to those questions that were asked. I've got my little tablet here. Look at me, all IT. And some of these questions are not boxing related questions, but people have asked them, so I'll answer them anyway. Most of them are to do with boxing. But what I'm going to do is I think I'll timestamp them, like different questions, so you can skip the ones that are not boxing related if you're not interested. So without further ado, let's get on with it. And the first question, this was from someone called @dr.fritza959. Why don't they just give names? This is it with YouTube. People have got names, but they give you this weird shit. Anyway, this person, lady or gentleman, says, if you were to fight, what would you choose as your walkout song? Well, I did a video on this actually a long time ago, and the piece of music I would walk out to is called Wayward Sisters. And it's by a guy from the 1970s called Klaus Nomi, a German sort of faux opera singer. It's, again, Wayward Sisters by Klaus Nomi. Go and have a look at it. It's on YouTube. It's an extremely dramatic piece of music. And the band, one of my favourite bands from the 80s, well, probably my favourite band from the 80s, the Smiths, they used it as a walkout piece of music. It's extremely dramatic and dark and moody and ominous. I think it'd be brilliant. I've always thought that piece of music would be brilliant if you're a fighter coming out. So go and have a listen, see what you think. And if you've got any ideas, let's say you were fighters, or maybe you are a fighter, what music do you walk out to? Interesting subject, that. There's so much good music that can really get you in the mood. You know what I mean? Sometimes if someone's got a good bit of walkout music, it really gets you in the mood if you're watching. Like I really love, who's the lad who has Tom Jones, Delilah, British champ. Mine's gone blank. You know what I mean, don't you? Yeah, that's great. That's great when that happens. That's brilliant. Anyway, @avocado aficionado, an aficionado of avocados, this lady or gentleman says, where do you keep all your T-shirts? Do you have a T-shirt wardrobe? What's your favourite T-shirt? I'll tell you what, right? I've got so many T-shirts. My bed was knackered. I needed a new bed. So I thought I'll get one of those Ottoman beds. The ones that you lift up and you put clothes in. And bloody thing arrived in 2 flat packs. And I got it all out and there was a bit missing. So I had to repackage the bastard up and send it back. And it was the wrong colour as well. God bless Mattress Man. And then there was a big sort of to-do about collecting it and all this crap. And finally, like a couple of days ago, they sent me the correct one. So I got to put it together. Wish me luck, because I'll tell you what, Alan Turing couldn't work out how to put all these nuts and bolts together. You lay it all out and you think, Jesus Christ. But if I do manage to actually put it together, I'm going to stick all my T-shirts in there. That's going to be my T-shirt wardrobe, if you like. What's my favourite T-shirt? I'll tell you what, right, I've got T-shirts going back to when I was a kid. I never throw them away. And I've got one, it's a band T-shirt, right, for Adam and the Ants. And I must have been about 14 when I bought it, maybe 15. And I saw it in this shop. There used to be this shop that was a real alternative shop. And I was scared to go in there because I was only about 14. And there was this, but I kind of got the courage to go in there because it was all dark and it had all sort of punk stuff and metal stuff and rockabilly stuff in there. And I went in there and I was like petrified because I thought these people are going to fucking chop me up and serve me up on a bed of rice, because the people in there looked real mean. They were actually really, really nice. But so I went in there and there was this beautiful punk girl behind the counter. She was a real sweetheart. She had thick lipstick and her hair was, all punked up, and the clothes and everything, zips and tartan, and she just looked absolutely like a vision. And she was an older woman. She was about 16, 17, and I was about 13, 14. And she said, "Yeah, can I help you?" And she was really, really nice to me. And I went, "Can I have that T-shirt in that's in the window, the Adam and the Ants one?" She was like, "Yeah, of course you can." And she got it, and she was such a sweetheart to me, because you could see I was shit scared of the whole environment. And I had no reason to be. They were really nice people. I mean, if you're into punk music, you'll know that, you know, punk people, you go to a gig, they're really nice people, you know. And yeah, so I got that T-shirt. I've still got it. It's like a fucking crop top. If I put it on, it just about covers me fucking moobs. But at the time, of course, being a kid, it fit me perfectly, you know. So, and I've still got it. It's got the Adam and the Ants Warrior logo on the front. If you know anything about Adam and the Ants, great band. Go listen to the album Kings of the Wild Frontier. It's probably my favourite album. And that's probably my favourite T-shirt as well. So I'll go with that one. All right. Avocado Aficionado also asked me another question. Would you rather fight a gaggle of duck-sized Gareth A. Davies or one gad-sized duck? You know, what question? I've got this image in my head of a gaggle of duck-sized gads all sort of quacking around, you know, with shades on and vaping and loads of them. Now, let's go for the one gad-sized duck. At least there's only one of them. Christ's sake, we don't need more than one gad, do we? I wonder how he's getting on now that Fury's been beaten. He must be heartbroken. He probably needs counselling. He's probably on lithium, you know, something like that. But anyway, who have we got next? Paul Hegarty, 8380. Paul asks, the drugs cheats are a blight on the sport. Agreed. What needs to be done to eliminate the steadheads? Well, yeah, it's an ongoing question. I mean, I think I'm not someone who's sort of doom-laden about this subject. As you know from previous videos, I don't take the view that, you know, we should just let it be a free-for-all under the guise of some sort of libertarian mentality. I think we should definitely chase the cheats. But we've got to recognise there is no ultimate destination, and there's no ultimate victory, and there's no ultimate defeat. A lot will get away with it, some will get nicked. And the fact that people are being nicked means that something right is being done. We're actually getting there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we just need to keep what we're doing. I think that if the different ruling bodies, all the alphabet soup boys, they need to get together and have a little conference, have a little sit down and discuss the issue and become unified in their opposition to PEDs. And I think the same could be said for all the, you know, the testing agencies, VADA, WADA, you know, all of them. They all need to get together and say, okay, what's on this list and what isn't? Are there extenuating circumstances? What do we feel is necessary if someone disputes a positive test? What do they have to do? And they need to treat all fighters the same, so the big fighters don't get off with it, which we know they sometimes do. No, we got to come down hard. But there's no ultimate victory. We just got to keep on chipping away at the whole thing, and I think eventually we'll get there. When I say get there, like I say, people will always cheat, but I think we'll get there in the sense that we'll have a solid foundation for taking on the cheats. Some are always going to get away with it, but the more we catch, the better it is, and the more of a deterrent it is. So I'm not without hope when it comes to that subject. Not without hope at all. How would you make judging objective? This is from Chevy Imp, 5857. Chevy Imp, yeah. Sorry, Chevy. How would you make judging objective? Is there a way? Right. You can't make it absolutely objective. When people talk about subjectivity in judging, yes, I understand there is a way of scoring fights. You know, you can have different perspectives. I mean, I know some guys whose opinions I really respect, and they will disagree with me on judging, on rounds, on fights. Fine, they might be right, I might be wrong. I always keep an open mind about this subject. But the way in which you need to judge a fight is you need to be consistent with every round. So if your criteria is I'm going to give the rounds to the guy that lands the harder punches. So if one guy lands 3, 4, 5 light jabs, that is erased by one big hook or cross or whatever. And then you hold that criteria throughout the entire fight. Or you might like the guy who's busier. It doesn't hit nearly as hard, but he's busier, he's out working. I mean, I've just watched last night it was the Josh Taylor-Jack Catterall fight. And Taylor was putting a lot of pressure on Catterall. Catterall was jabbing very, very well, jabbing to the body as well as the head. You know, I thought Catterall won that fight. I think most people did. Whereas Josh and certainly Uncle Bob Arum, he was in there, wasn't he? Like in all 92 years of him giving it large. You know, it's a disgrace, blah, blah, blah. If you're 92, you don't give a fuck. You're just going to say and do whatever you want to do. But no, I think most people thought Jack won that fight. But the criteria, once you've chosen your criteria, you have to stick to it. And that's the way that so if you do that, people can't really knock you, because you can say, well, that's a subjective thing. Now, if you score, the work rate in one round, lots of light jabs, maybe the odd pop here and there. If you score in one round for that guy, as opposed to the guy who's landing far less but far heavier shots, and then in the next round you flip that on its head, that's inconsistency. I don't think that's the way to do it, to be honest with you. But it's going to go on. It's going to rage on, isn't it? This whole concept of, judging and, there is no perfect way. And Suleiman can talk about 5 judges or 6 judges or 20 judges or whatever, but how about we have some good judges? How about we have consistent judges? That'd be a start, wouldn't it? I think so. All right, what we got here? 59 OGULHC at 59 OGULHC asks, why don't you score drawn rounds? Many, in fact, I think most people agree with you experts. Well, I'm not an expert, mate. I'm just a fan and the like. But personally, I feel if someone doesn't deserve to lose a round, then a draw is fair. I don't see how it's a bad thing. If it's a 10-round fight and there's a draw, then it is what it is, and there's 9 more rounds to contest for. Fighting to not lose a round is a thing in and of itself, and I think you can earn a draw like you can earn a win. I find it crazy to give someone a losing round, even if you aren't sure they did lose it. Is it your criteria of judging rounds by 3 separate minutes, therefore making a draw impossible? Or so you have any more reasons you can enlighten me with? Thank you, Joe. Well, yeah, you make a good point. What I would say is, this point you make about fighting to not lose. Hang on a minute. It's crazy to give someone a losing round, even if you aren't sure they did lose it. That's true. That's very true. But then you can flip that on its head and say it's crazy to give someone a winning round if you're not sure. So the fact that I'm not, to me, unless there are literally no punches thrown in a round, absolutely none, you can always find a winner. Even if, so let's say both guys are, you could hold a fight between them, they're so negative, but one guy lands a jab in 3 minutes, he wins. And that's what I look for. As far as chopping it up into 3 minutes goes, that's a general rule I use. Who wins the first minute, who wins the second minute, who wins the third minute. Now, let's say that one guy loses the first 2 minutes and then in the third minute batters the geezer from pillar to post. Well, then, yeah, I will obviously take that into account. But I just find breaking it into 3 minutes, 3 individual minutes, helps. It's not a rule set in stone, but it kind of helps, But you make some good points, and I don't score rounds as draws. Almost never. I can't remember ever scoring a round as a draw, unless we're going back like 30 years or something. But I do feel that I don't mind people scoring draws. If you genuinely feel that they're even, then of course you should score it a draw. But I always like to look for a win, and I think that's the fairest way to do it. But you make some good points, mate. You definitely do. And that was from 59 OGULHC, whatever your real name is. That's a good question, mate. All right, so we got Aaron Walker. He's a regular of ours. Hello, Aaron. He said, did you ever go to any big fights when you were living in America? No, I didn't. And I'll tell you why, because almost all of my time in America was spent in Alabama. For those that don't know, I was married to an American lady. This was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And we did travel a bit. Well, a lot of our traveling was in the South. Like we went to New Orleans and Mississippi and Georgia and all these sort of places. There weren't a lot of fights on there. I know Deontay Wilder's from Alabama, isn't he? But at the time, the South was dead for boxing. Now it's weird. It's really weird because my ex-wife, who I'm still in contact with, I mean, we're still good friends. she remarried and she actually lives in Philadelphia now. Well, but you know about Philadelphia. I mean, if we'd been together in Philadelphia, I'd have been down the Blue Horizon every fucking week. You know what I mean? But at the time in Alabama, nah. I'll tell you a funny story though. Like the first time, this is before I lived in America. The first time I was in New York. This was 1996 because I went to the Hall of Fame, Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota, and I saw this big poster on the New York subway, and it said Riddick Bowe versus Andrew Golota, and I thought I'm going to that. And then I looked at the date, and I thought, fuck it. It was the day that I was leaving, coming back to Britain, so I was pissed off about that. Well, apparently that was the one where there was a riot afterwards, so I'm kind of glad I didn't go there. But I do wish I'd seen more boxing. I do. It was great because at the time it was all HBO and Showtime. They were ruling the roost, and the place we were renting, we got it free. We got HBO and Showtime free. That was part of the rental deal. So I was always watching boxing. And my ex-wife, God bless her, whenever I'd go back to England or whatever, she'd always record it on the old VHS tapes for me when I was away. Yeah. So no, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid the answer to your question is no. I didn't see any fights in America, not big ones anyway. Roberto Duran versus Julio Cesar Chavez in their primes at lightweight. Who wins? And this is from Hook and Crosses, 34-19. Roberto Duran against Julio Cesar Chavez in their primes at lightweight. What a great fight. What an incredible fight. Chavez at lightweight, I mean, the one fight that springs out, of course, is the Edwin Rosario battering. Rosario at the time, a lot of people picked him to beat Chavez. Chavez was moving up to lightweight and kind of proved what a great fighter he was in that fight. He dominated Rosario and stopped him. Rosario was a very good fighter. Duran we know about. I mean, Duran, essentially, it's almost like two different fighters. He had that lightweight career where he dominated the lightweights for years, and then he jumped up to fight Leonard, fought at welterweight, and then he had that second career. At lightweight, I got to go with Duran on points. And we're talking a 15-rounder. Chavez didn't fight any 15-rounders. Duran certainly did. I'll go with Duran on points. Yeah. Chavez would win rounds over 15. Probably go 9-6 to Duran. But they were both immense fighters. Chavez remains the best Mexican fighter of all time for me. Better than Canelo, I think. Although Canelo, he's getting there. Still fighting, isn't he? But is Duran the greatest lightweight ever? You can certainly make a case, a strong case for him being the greatest lightweight ever. Longevity at lightweight. And he had that killer. I mean, he was terrifying for a little guy. He had that panther-like quality. He did cheat against Ken Buchanan. I mean, I remember someone saying when I was talking about Duran, yeah, but he cheated against Buchanan, never gave him a rematch. I totally agree. That's the one black mark against him at lightweight. But when you consider like the fights with Esteban de Jesus, he had three of them, didn't he? 'Cause he lost one. He lost the first one, then won the next two by knockout. He's the only person to beat him at lightweight, de Jesus. Yeah. I mean, if he'd retired after his lightweight career and never fought Leonard, just retired and walked away, it'd still be classed as arguably the greatest lightweight ever. So yeah, I'd pick him to win on points over Chavez, and I love Chavez, I really do, but got to go with what I think. Sweet Georgia Brown 99 says, when Tyson lost to Holyfield, how did you react? Were you shocked? Yes, I was shocked. Not nearly as shocked as I was when Douglas beat him. That really was surreal. I think I've said before, I woke up the following morning thinking I might have dreamt it. It was that much of a shock. It's difficult to put into words how much of a shock that defeat to Douglas was. It's like otherworldly. But yeah, certainly I watched the Tyson Holyfield one live. I wasn't there. I watched it live on one of the last pay-per-views I actually paid money for. And this was days before the internet, where you really couldn't go to the naughty sites, watch it by other means. But it was a shock. I'll tell you, it was a shock because Holyfield was coming off a terrible performance against Bobby Ches. I think Ches quit after 5 rounds, and Holyfield looked old and knackered, and you just thought Tyson, even though I thought Tyson was past his best, I thought Tyson was on the wane from the first Bruno fight onwards. And yeah, he had two really great fights, not boxing matches, but fights with Razor Ruddock. And then Lewis blew Ruddock away in 2 rounds. But I thought Tyson was on the wane, but he still had that aggression. I do remember thinking before that fight, because Tyson had fought Buster Mathis Jr., and Mathis Jr., I think he gone 3 rounds, but there were little cameos where Tyson was finding it difficult against a shorter man. The shorter man, and I thought, well, Holyfield's not a tall heavyweight. Maybe he can give him some problems, but I thought, nah, Holyfield looks shot, completely shot. And we know what happened. And when Holyfield put Tyson on the floor, was it 6th round, was it? I just hit the roof. I was like, fucking hell, he's going to win. So, yeah, it was a shock. But that's what we live for, isn't it, in boxing? We love those shocking things. Right, who's this then? Owner R82 says, if you surrounded a ring with cameras and taught AI how to judge a fight accurately, better than judges, or at least in a way where you can show the logic behind how a fight is scored, would you teach it to prioritise eye-catching power shots or scoring low-powered, faster shots? What an interesting question. What an interesting question that is. AI, scoring fights. Right. I know nothing about AI. I was joking earlier when I talked about IT. I mean, I'm crap when it comes to IT. I don't even know how to do a fucking StreamYard thing. I haven't even tried it yet. G-Man was showing me how to do it. He sent me a little quick tutorial, but apparently it's really easy. But when it comes to computers, I'll be honest with you, I hate the fact that people have become reliant on modern technology. Because modern technology it's incredible, it's astonishing. I can't even begin to fathom how the fucking thing works. And in my lifetime, this is science fiction to me. The first computer I ever saw was an old BBC thing. Well, I must have been about 16 or 17, so I'm going back like 40 years. And it took about an hour to power up. And I'm not joking, it took this geezer like an hour to get it working. And there was a globe on the screen. I mean, fucking thing looked like a block of concrete, it was that big, and the globe was moving, rotating ever so gradually, and I was like, wow, look at that. And my cousin, who's a year younger than me, I remember going out one Saturday with him, and he said, I've got to go to Tottenham Court Road to get this special book on computer programming. He was into computers in a big way. This is the fucking mid-80s. And he dragged me around all the bookshops looking for this book on how to do some sort of language to do with computers, because he was studying them. And he said to me, one day everyone will have a computer. One day everyone will have a phone. And he predicted the whole damn thing. And I'm saying there going, what the fuck are you talking about, man? You've been watching too much Star Trek. Of course he was right and I was totally fucking wrong, which is why he's wealthy and I'm poor. But there we are. So anyway, getting back to AI, I know nothing about it. How to judge a fight accurately. Look, when you ask, would I prioritise eye-catching power shots or scoring low-powered, faster shots? I mean, that takes away, if you do that, if you choose either of those, you're taking away the concept of subjectivity. And therefore, it would favour boxers with a certain style. Now, I think that's a bad thing to teach AI to look for certain things. We're getting into the realms of computer scoring in amateur boxing, which I hated. It's one of the reasons I just don't watch amateur boxing, or I didn't watch it then. I don't really watch it now. I've never really watched amateur boxing now that much because of the scoring is so appalling. I want human beings, competent human beings, interpreting a fight using the criteria as they see it. Like I was saying, 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, whatever, when that previous question was asked. It's an interesting idea, AI and all this. Maybe further down the line, it can be applied. It's a good question. I don't really have a comprehensive answer. Very interesting. But those are my thoughts for now. I mean, I don't have a solid view, absolutely solid view of all this, but very interesting question. Very interesting indeed. So yeah, I'll get back to you on that one. Like maybe in 15 years' time or whatever. Well, actually, the way technology moves, how fast it moves, is nowadays you just don't know, do you? It could be 2 years' time or whatever, even less. Anyway, Liam, what's this guy's name? Liam Hayden, 235. Hello, Liam. Do you think Fury can win the rematch? And if Yes. What adjustments does he need to make? What can he do differently, better? Yeah, he can win it. I would pick Usyk to beat him again. I picked Usyk the first time. He can win it. I think he's got to cut down the movement. Obviously, cut out all the showboat and all that bullshit. Stop trying to con people into giving him rounds. I'm someone that think he did very well in the first half of the fight. I know a lot of people disagree with me. You might be right. Again, it's subjective. It depends what you're looking for. A lot of people feel Usyk landed the harder punches. But again, I liked Fury's movement. I like the fact he was popping in with jabs. But I think what he's got to do in the rematch is stand his ground more and bang that jab. I mean, the jab is the key. I know this is kind of stating the obvious, but if he whacks that jab in, bang, bang, against the small round, because Usyk was coming forward all the time and Fury was moving. At times he was almost running. He was running. But he was doing some work. But he's got to cut the nonsense out and just stand and kind of, use his weight, use his dimensions. Bang hard, not just to the head, but to the body. If he's banging arms, just keep that weight, that 19 stone of natural weight, in Usyk's face. Don't let Usyk just hunt him down. And now all this is easier said than done, of course. And again, I would pick Usyk to win the rematch. It's over 12 rounds, of course, 36 minutes, a long time to do this. But Fury's got to put some weight behind everything he does, rather than try and move. He's also got to watch the range, because if you notice, like in that 9th round, he got clipped with the left hand, the backhand. Usyk had been landing that previously. The warning signs were there, and then when he landed it, and Fury was on Queer Street wobbling around, that did. I mean, the way the effect that it had, that surprised me. But the fact that Usyk managed to hurt Fury, I thought, because Fury in the past has gone on the floor and gotten up and he's been okay. That's by far the worst we've ever seen him hurt. But it didn't surprise me at all. That was the punch that did it, and that's because Fury was allowing Usyk to control the range and the timing. You got to break up Usyk's rhythm. You got to, sometimes you're on the outside, then fall in, make it an ugly fight, maybe wrestle him a little bit, tie him up, take him out of his rhythm. All of this is speculation. All of this is, what's the word? Hypothetical, I guess. But can he win the fight? Can he win the rematch? Yes. Would I pick him to win the rematch? No, I think Usyk will probably beat him again, 116, 112, something like that in the rematch. Because Fury didn't use his weight, he didn't use his dimensions enough. And everything from Fury should be, this is obviously a statement of the obvious, but, you've got to bang that jab, and you've got to have a hard, tough jab, bang into the chest, bang into the arms, bang into the face, switching it body to head, head to body, bang in the body as well. We know Usyk don't like it to the body. That's his one, the one area where there's a question mark over him, as brilliant as he is. Fury did very, very little body work. But I would still pick Usyk to win, to be honest with you. Usyk versus Smokin Joe Fraser. Who you got? That's from AP8062. Usyk versus Smokin Joe. Well, people forget that Smokin Joe was a small fighter. He was really a cruiserweight to start with in his career. He made about 186, 188. And then he got up to like 202 pounds. And Usyk now has settled into being a 6'3", 16 stone man. Smokin Joe with the left hook will always be a danger, and the immense heart that he had was a major attribute. But I got to go with Usyk, probably by stoppage. Joe would be in his face. Usyk would deal with it. Derek Chisora is no Smokin Joe Fraser, as we know, but he is a lot bigger than Fraser. And early on, he gave Usyk some problems. Usyk adjusted and then won the second half of the fight and outpointed Derek with relative ease. I think he'd do the same with Joe, but he'd probably stop Joe. Joe would be in his face, looking to land the big hook and everything. He'd be a nuisance. He'd make Usyk work for the first 4, 5, 6 rounds. But I see Usyk taking over and probably knocking out Joe, to be honest with you. It's just size, size does matter. Who we got next? Jerry B636 asks, will Fury versus AJ happen? Probably. Yeah, probably, because there's too much money involved. When will it happen? Got a rematch, Usyk Fury rematch. Let's assume that happens. It's not a given, of course. Well, I think let's say Usyk wins the rematch. Where does Fury go? Because AJ's fought Usyk twice and been beaten, so there won't be a lot of demand for that fight. Usyk might retire. You don't know, do you? Maybe Hrgovic will step up. I don't know. But yeah, I think after the second Usyk fight, win or lose, AJ will be next for the winner. Well, maybe not Usyk, but if Fury was to win, even if he was to lose, I think Fury versus AJ will happen within the next 2 years. They'll both be getting up there in age a little bit, but yeah, it'll happen though. It'll happen. I think so. Dominic Curtin 9193 asks, do you think a prime Ali would beat a prime Tyson Fury? Well, again, we're back to size. I mean, Fury is so damn big. He's enormous. And Ali, you know, by today's standards, was not a big heavyweight. He was absolutely brilliant, stunning to watch, and incredibly fast with the hands. And, you know, he couldn't fight that well on the inside at all. That was his big... He used to tie up people and didn't like inside work. He wasn't like Riddick Bowe. He was a very, very big man, but could box very well on the inside. Underrated fighter, Riddick Bowe, by the way. In his prime, he was a very good fighter. But Ali against Fury, yeah, he would outpoint him, yeah. I think he could outpoint Fury, despite this colossal size difference. I mean, we are probably talking about 60 pounds of natural weight difference. But Ali's speed, prime Ali, he'd struggle in rounds. Let's say it's over 15, not 12. I see Ali coming through a tough fight. I'm talking a prime Ali, not so much the sort of mid-70s Ali, who was past his best. But yeah, because you see, if Fury don't hit that hard, he hits respectably, but he's not a massive hitter. So I think possibly if Ali can stay out of trouble, he can sort of nitpick and fiddle his way through the rounds and probably outpoint Fury. But it wouldn't be easy. The size discrepancy is just so massive. Who we got here? Paul Haggerty, 8380. He asks, do you think Usyk should walk away from the sport? I think if he beats Fury again, I don't see a reason why. I don't see what else there is for him to do. I mean, he's just a great fighter. He's just a fantastic fighter. You know, what can you say? What has he not done? I mean, you couldn't put him, because his heavyweight career is not, it's not extensive. I mean, he's beaten. You can argue he's proved he's the best heavyweight of this era. He's beaten AJ twice. Let's say he beats Fury twice. Maybe if he beats Parker, perhaps, or Ajit Kabayel, you know, cut another 2 or 3. But I think he's the best cruiserweight ever, and I think he would give any heavyweight in history trouble, a lot of trouble. Let's put it that way. Walk away from the sport. I think he's probably got another 3 fights in him if he wants them. But if he walked away, no problem. You know, what's he got to prove? It's a great fighter, just a really great fighter. We're privileged to watch someone that good. In you know, to be around when someone like that is around. I'm glad that I was alive to watch Alexander Usyk ply his trade. Great fighter, great fighter. And that, I think, is it. That's it for the questions. So thank you very much for asking the questions. I hope you got something out of the answers. Maybe we'll do another one of these in a couple of months. But yeah, thank you very much. If you're new to this channel and you could subscribe, that would be great, and hit the like button as well if you like the video. I appreciate your time as always. And if you've got any other questions, leave them in the comments and I'll answer them. But yeah, nice one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm out.